You were born destined to win. And let me show you how. And let me tell you why. You know, there's a lot of information out there today because we're in the information society on all the good stuff that happens from the time you were conceived to the time you listening to this. And let me just tell you that at the very beginning, way back in the day that you were actually conceived, a lot of things had to happen for you to get here today, right? And you all know the story of how your father's sperm mated with your mother's egg. Well, it wasn't just one sperm and one egg. There was one egg, but there were many sperm, which means that there was a fight, there was a race to get there. And out of all those billions of different entities trying to get to mate with that egg, you made it. You got there first. You're actually that was the first win, was when you actually got there and consummated that process. So that was the beginning. So winners really start winning right from the beginning. So let's talk about what happens after that. So there was a process in place that got you to the place where you now are walking around on this planet. And that gives you a lot of, it should give you a lot of faith in the process that you're here for a reason. You are here because there is something special for you to do. So you were destined to win. Well, let me give you a few points that I think you have to really put in place for you to win like you should. The first thing is, have you left room for improvement? Are you still in the process of becoming a better version of yourself? What are you doing to make that happen? Are you reading books? Are you listening to people who are where you want to be and who can help you get there? I think that's probably one of the first things that you have to do, is put yourself in a position to continue to grow. Most people, after they graduate from high school or college, they stop the process of growth. They just now fall into this little grind and they just keep at it, work their job or whatever the case may be. 10 years goes by, 20, 30, 40 years goes by, and they really haven't gone much further than where they were intellectually, spiritually, physiologically. You know, it's just like they kind of hit this status quo. Well, guess what? I think, in my opinion, it is time, if you haven't been on the grind of making yourself the better you, let's go. It's time to figure out how to do that. So, one of the things that I know that you will need is a coach. But guess what? The coach doesn't come into the picture until you're ready. You know, they say the teacher will show up once the student is ready, when the student's ready. So are you ready to be a student again? Are you ready to get in the game of self-development so that you can get yourself to a place where you can really be effective in the marketplace? Well, how do you do that? You just become open for instruction, open for someone to come into your life. And I promise you, someone will show up when you're ready that can take you, help you get to the next level. You know, most of the great ballers and people who've been very successful have coaches, right? And even the more successful they are, the more they know they need someone that can help them perfect their craft. I hope you're that person that wants to do that. You know, in order to do that, though, you have to embrace a word called submission. Submission is not a dirty word. It's not a bad word. And you know, in the Western culture, it seems like it's not such a good word. You know why? Because it has been abused, right? Back in slavery time with chattel slavery, right? That has been abused. So people now don't want to be submissive. You know, we see that through our culture and through our modern day culture, where people are not really wanting to be submissive. But I submit to you that in order for you to get a coach to help you, you have to totally trust that person to be able to and open yourself up for the necessary corrections so that you can make yourself into that better version of you. So submission is not a bad word, but you want to submit to the right person, and that person that God sends you as a coach is the person that can help you get to the next level. Then the next thing you have to decide on is, are you a victor or a victim? Which mentality are you living by now? You know, a victim mentality is a poor me, right? They always have a sad story about what they couldn't do and why they couldn't do it and what the resources were not available to them so that they could get the job done. They always have excuses, right? But I have a friend of mine that says all the time, he doesn't give excuses, so therefore he doesn't take excuses. So don't be that person. Don't be the person that's always given an excuse why you can't accomplish it. Because I know you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. I know that. I don't know if you know that, but Philippians 4:13 makes it very clear that that is something that you can lean on if you believe it. Because according to your faith be it unto you. So if you've got no faith, guess what? That won't work for you either. So a long time ago, when I was little, about 9 years old, I used to be run home from school every day because kids were beating up on me. I was the little chubby kid that liked to answer the questions, and all of a sudden, that was not popular with the kids down the street on the block, right? So they wanted to terrorize me every day. Every day they'd run me home and they'd catch me and they'd beat up on me. I'd have a bloody nose and black eyes and busted lips and all that sort of thing. Well, guess what? My stepfather said to me, "Are you sick and tired of being abused like that?" I said, "Yes, I am." So he enrolled me in a judo class, and I started learning the concept of defending myself, which I didn't know how to do, right? I didn't know how. And so I started that, and then I went from that to karate. And then pretty soon I started learning from a teacher that was very tough how to defend myself and not how to have a victim mentality, right? And then pretty soon those same people that were abusing me, one day after I'd learned how to protect myself properly, mentally and physically, I was able to defend myself from an attack. And the same person that terrorized me for about 2 years, I knocked the snot out of him, and that stopped. I never had that problem from that group again, because now they knew I was willing to fight back. But not only was I willing, but I actually had some skills that actually worked. So stop that victim mentality and change that. You know, it's either you're going to run or you're going to stand your ground, right? And so I started standing my ground, and I never had to run again after that. I learned this from someone who taught me how to focus. You know, focus on the matter at hand. In the martial arts, of which I practiced most of my life, the thing we have to do is focus on the moment, not the before, not the after, but the moment, and stay focused on the moment. What is the most important thing for you to get accomplished right now? Whatever that is your mission. It is mission critical that you stay focused on what's important to get done right now, right? Let's get that done. First things first, put the first things first, and let's make sure that happens. You know, I learned this from a doctor who's a renowned doctor at the National Institutes of Health. My wife and I were at a seminar where he was the main speaker. And I'll never forget this. People had come from far and near to hear this great physician with degrees down the hallway and considered to be one of the top surgeons in his category in the world. And so when he came up and he started his conversation, got this big accolades, and everybody said everything about how wonderful he was in his profession. And we stood up and gave him this rousing round of applause. And he came up and grabbed the microphone, and this is how he started his dissertation. He said, "I love myself, I like myself. I love myself, I like myself. I love myself, I like myself." He went on for about 10 minutes, and that's all he said was, "I love myself, I like myself." My wife and I looked at each other, and we said, "What the heck? What is he doing?" He said, "I love myself, I like myself." Come to find out, that was one of the most brilliant beginnings of a conversation with very high level people. Because if you don't love yourself, right, if you don't truly love yourself, and sometimes you've got to tell yourself you love yourself. How many times have you actually done that? Tell yourself that you love you. I know you tell your kids and you tell your significant others you love them, right? But how many times have you looked in the mirror or looked inside your mind, inside your heart, and said how wonderful that you think you are, how much you love yourself? And I know sometimes I don't really like myself because maybe I didn't do the right thing, but you got to learn how to love yourself. And once you learn how to love yourself, it's much easier to love other people, even though they may not be perfect, even though they may not do things the way you think they need to be done, right? Love is that thing that heals, it binds, it pulls together, it does all kinds of stuff. It is the magic sauce that God put out here for us. He loved us, and we need to learn how to love ourselves, and therefore we will also be able to love others. Well, as I start to winding down, winning is what we're talking about here today, aren't we? We're talking about winning. You were destined to win. You are destined to win. And so you got to get something that backs that up. You need to be able to speak that into existence every single day. That I'm born to win. I was created to win. I was born in the image of the master winner, and therefore I was destined to win. You know, I started to read all different kinds of books that were helping me to begin to believe in myself more. You know, because we're kind of like brought up in this hypnotical society that kind of leads us to start doubting ourselves, doubting our abilities, and so therefore we become automated by a system that kind of directs you in a pathway that's maybe not what your calling is. Maybe that's not why you're here. Maybe there is something, and I think there is, special about you that you have to bring to the world that nobody else can bring like you, but you're off in another direction somewhere. And maybe it's time for you to look in that mirror and see the person that God intended you to be right from the beginning, right? Right from the beginning, you were chosen to win at your game. You bring something special to the game. So when are you going to get after it, right? What do we need to do to help you get there? And that's kind of like what this is all about, helping other people get to where they need to be. You know, I learned that I needed to speak things into existence, but what are you speaking? Because what's running in your brain right now may be the exact opposite of what you need to be saying to yourself. That's why you have to learn how to speak into existence what you want and what you'd like to see happen as though it already was happening. That is 100% faith and belief in what you bring to the table. Learn some affirmations. I have one for you today that I'd like for you to learn how to repeat. And if you do this for 7 days, I promise you, you can do it more than one time if you like. I think you're going to have and be blessed as a result. Let me read it so make sure that you're going to get it exactly. Here's what I'd like for you to repeat. Say, I am divinely created with God's authority to dominate in my world. I want to say it again. I am divinely created with God's authority to dominate in my world. You know, when you're dominating, you're winning. You were created to dominate. Everything on this planet is yours to oversee. I want you to write that down, right? Put it on a sticky note. Go put it on the bathroom mirror, right? Put it somewhere. Put it on a 3x5 card. Put it in the comments, right? And make sure that other people can actually see it. I want you to do that just for a week, just see how that works. And then you can get back to me and let me know what's changing in your life. God bless you. Heaven smile upon you. Hope this brought some value to you.